Welcome to Biggest Spoilars, the destination for exclusive spoilers, latest updates.
In the high-stakes, emotionally volatile arena of Port Charles, where family legacies are both shield and sword, true power often lies not in shouted declarations or physical threats, but in the perfectly aimed whisper. It is a lesson learned in the crucible of betrayal, grief, and dynastic warfare. For Carly Corinthos, a woman who has built her identity as an indomitable matriarch, a lioness defending her pride against all comers, the most devastating attacks have never been the boardroom takeovers or the mob-sanctioned hits. They have been the intimate betrayals, the psychological wounds inflicted by those she once held close. And on a day that should have been sacred, a baptism meant to symbolize renewal and unity, that lesson was delivered with surgical precision by perhaps the most unexpected of messengers, Charlotte Cassadine, a young woman caught in the crossfire of her own fractured heritage. The setting, once again, was a place of supposed peace. The chapel, still echoing with the ghost of a gunshot from a previous ceremony gone wrong, was attempting to host another, the baptism of Carly's youngest child, Donna. The air was thick with a forced normalcy, a collective effort by the Corinthos clan to project strength and continuity. Carly stood, a vision of maternal determination, her focus on her child and her family's unbreakable front. Enter Charlotte. No longer just the troubled daughter of Valentine Cassadine and Lulu Spencer, she has evolved into a complex, perceptive, and wounded young woman, keenly aware of the dark currents that flow beneath Port Charles's polished surface. Her approach to Carly was not marked by teenage defiance or Cassadine arrogance, but by a chilling, preternatural calm. The 6 words she spoke were not yelled, they were released into the space between them like a slow-acting toxin. I know what Sonny is hiding. Or perhaps Ava knows the truth about Nina. Maybe, your mother would be ashamed of you. Or the most brutally simple, you are not what you seem. Regardless of the exact phrasing, the intent and impact were crystalline. These were not the wild accusations of an enemy. They were the calm, confident statements of a bearer of secrets, a holder of leverage. In that instant, the carefully constructed fortress of Carly's reality, built on her unwavering defense of her family, her moral certainties, and her curated narrative of events, developed a hairline fracture. Her expression, a mask of poised control, would have shattered into pure, unguarded shock. The color would drain from her face, not from anger, but from a dawning, ice-cold terror. This wasn't an attack from Nicholas Cassadine or a legal maneuver from Michael. This was a grenade rolled quietly under her feet by a girl she might have once seen as just another casualty of the Cassadine-Corinthos war. The anatomy of the shock, why 6 words matter. The power of Charlotte's statement lies in its multifaceted blade. First, it is an information bomb. Carly operates on a foundation of knowing her enemies, knowing her allies, knowing the secrets that keep her family safe. For Charlotte to claim knowledge of something Sonny is hiding, or a truth Ava possesses, immediately inverts that power dynamic. It suggests a breach in the innermost sanctum. What could Sonny, her rock, her sometimes husband, and perpetual partner in chaos, be hiding from her? Is it related to the recent threats from Sidwell? To a past sin come back to haunt them? Or, more terrifyingly, is it something about her? The mere suggestion plants a seed of destabilizing doubt in her most foundational relationship. Second, it is a legacy attack. If the words invoked Bobby Spencer, Carly's fierce, flawed, and deeply loved mother, the cut is existential. Carly's entire life has been, in part, a quest for the unconditional love and fierce protection Bobby eventually provided. To have Bobby's memory weaponized, to be told the woman who was her moral compass in later years would be ashamed, strikes at the core of Carly's self-image. It implies she has strayed not just from societal norms, but from the hard-won code her mother embodied. It's a guilt that no argument with a living person could ever match. Third, and most dangerously, it is a mirror held up by the next generation. Charlotte represents the future, a child who has absorbed the bitterness, deception, and vengeance of her elders. Her accusation, "You are not what you seem," is the judgment of history. It says the legacy Carly is fighting so hard to protect for her children, Jocelyn, Michael, Donna, is already being interpreted by their peers as one of hypocrisy. Carly sees herself as a protector, Charlotte reframes her as a perpetrator in the endless cycle of Port Charles vengeance. The aftermath, encouraging words in a collapsing world. In the wake of this psychological detonation, Carly would initially reel in isolated silence. The public face would return quickly, a sharp retort, a dismissive glare, but the damage would be done. The encouraging words she would later receive would feel different, landing on newly fertile soil of paranoia. From Drew Kane, his brand of steadfast, moral support would take on a new urgency. "We'll figure this out, Carly. Whatever she's talking about, we'll face it together. Don't let a child's manipulation shake you." But now, Carly might hear a hint of patronization. Does he know something too? Is he in on the secret? His encouragement, meant to solidify their partnership, might instead highlight her potential isolation. From Jason Morgan, his silent, unwavering presence would be a tangible comfort, but his lack of words would become a vacuum she fills with anxiety. He would simply stand guard, his loyalty a given. Yet, if Charlotte's words implicated Sonny, would Jason's loyalty be to Sonny first? The unbreakable bond between the two men, once her ultimate security, could suddenly feel like a wall she's outside of. From her own children, Jocelyn's fierce defense would be immediate. "Mom, she's a Cassadine. She's trying to get in your head because of what happened to Valentine." Michael's more measured, legalistic approach would focus on discrediting the source. "Charlotte has a history of instability, Mom. Nothing she says can be taken at face value. Their love is real, their encouragement sincere." But for the first time, Carly might look at her children and feel a desperate need to protect them from the truth, rather than just from external enemies. Their faith in her becomes a burden she must preserve by potentially digging a deeper hole of secrecy. The gathering storm, angry threats from the Cassadine keep. While Carly grapples with internal collapse, the external threats would mobilize with lethal efficiency. Charlotte's act, whether calculated or a spontaneous eruption of pain, is not an isolated event. It is a flare shot into the sky, signaling the Cassadine offensive. Nicholas Cassadine's wrath would be cold, majestic, and terrifying. He would see Carly's stunned reaction not as evidence of a wound, but as a vulnerability to be exploited. His threats would cease to be about business or territory and become deeply personal. He might corner her, his voice a velvet-covered blade. "My niece has opened a door, Carly. The question is, what comes through it? Do you really want the world, do you want your children, to see what's on the other side? Stand down, or we will open it wide." His anger is no longer just for Valentine, it's for the psychological warfare he believes Carly has waged on his family for years. Valentine Cassadine, if recovered, would be a wild card. His relationship with Charlotte is profound and complex. He might be furious at her for putting herself in Carly's crosshairs, or he might be chillingly proud, seeing it as her embracing her Cassadine birthright. His threat would be emotional and precise. "You see what you have created? You have forged a weapon in the form of a heartbroken girl. And now she is turning your own secrets against you. How does it feel, Carly, to be the one drowning in doubt?" Ava Jerome, if implicated, would become a cyclone of opportunistic fury. Any alliance of convenience with Carly would vaporize. "You thought you could contain me? You thought you held all the cards," she might sneer. "Now your greatest adversary is a memory you can't erase and a truth a teenage girl can whisper. Keep coming for me, and I'll make sure Charlotte's 6 words become the town motto." The spoiler's promise, a war for the soul. The spoiler's true promise is not just a shocking moment, but the triggering of a new kind of war. This is not a battle for Metro Court or waterfront territory. It is a war for narrative control, for psychological dominance, and for the very soul of the Corinthos legacy. Carly's journey in the coming weeks would be a descent from certainty into a maze of mirrors. Every conversation becomes a potential interrogation. Every encouraging word is scanned for subtext. Every glance from Sonny is analyzed for hidden knowledge. The strong, sure-footed Carly is forced into a defensive, reactive posture, haunted by a phrase she can't unhear. Meanwhile, the Cassadines, led by Nicholas, would be executing a masterful campaign. they would not need to produce evidence immediately. The mere specter of the secret, launched by Charlotte's credible voice, is the weapon. They would use it to sow discord between Carly and Drew, to create tension between Carly and Sonny, to isolate her within her own fortress. The baptism of Donna Corinthos was meant to be a cleansing, a fresh start. Instead, it became a portal for the past's bitterest ghosts. 6 words, delivered not with a shout but with a devastating whisper, have the power to do what bullets and boardrooms could not. They have cracked the foundation of Carly Corinthos's world. The encouraging words of her allies now sound distant, and the angry threats of her enemies carry a new, intimate resonance. The spoilers promise a struggle where the battlefield is the mind, the weapons are secrets, and the ultimate victory will go to whoever can control the story of who Carly Corinthos, and by extension, her entire family, truly is. In Port Charles, where history is a weapon, the future has just fired a devastating opening shot. When Britt and Nathan both returned to Port Charles around the same time, Anna couldn't shake the feeling that it couldn't be a coexistence that 2 of Caesar Faison's children had been revivified from the dead. She came convinced that the supervillain who had spent so numerous times torturing her was ever still alive, as well, despite having spent some quality time with his cadaver in the morgue when he was shot dead back in 2018. And she was inversely convinced that all of Port Charles was in jeopardy. Jason suggested that Sidwell was using Faison as a way to throw her off her game, and she seriously considered that possibility. But as Anna got into her auto, someone rose from the aft seat to knock her out with chloroform, and she soon awoke to find herself shackled to a president in a dark, empty room. A man's voice with a European accentuation was also heard on a speaker informing Anna that she was on her way to a new life. She plotted to break free, but failed. Escape room. Although Jack entered a call from Anna letting him know that she had to leave on a secret WSB charge, and Emma entered dispatches from her grandmother, Anna was nowhere to be seen for nearly a month. Eventually, this week observers saw her trapped in a room crying to get her prisoner's attention through a one-way glass. Paging through a tablet where she'd been jotting down names and ideas, trying to keep her propositions straight. She recalled her hijacking and waking up in the dark room before being blindfolded and cured again. The coming time Anna recaptured knowledge, she was traveling in what she felt was a truck or a machine, also flashed back that they'd gone over water. She recorded that information in her tablet, realizing that without knowing how long she had been unconscious, she couldn't figure out where she was. Also a voice speaking French told her to stand facing the wall with her hands on her head so that she couldn't see him. Pascal also entered the room to deliver a plate of macarons, telling her, still in French, that he hoped the treat would make her stay more pleasurable. Given that, before in the occasion, Pascal tried to deliver the same Kate. To Sidwell during his meeting with the ladies of deception at Windmere, it came clear to the followership that Anna was being held internee nearly in the vast estate. That water she traveled over was nothing further than the Port Charles harbor. There's clearly some dramatic irony to her being held hostage at Windmere, where she formerly held Faison hostage. But it does appear that Anna is apprehensive of where her own hostage extremity is taking place. How long will it take the shrewd counterspy to piece everything together and realize who's holding her interned? And formerly she has all this information, will she be suitable to use it to formulate an escape? It also remains unclear how this all fits into Faison's final design, the one Britt is being forced to work on, and what Sidwell is hoping to gain from it, and eventually, why it's of similar great interest to the WSB. So, while it's clear that there are still numerous further exposures to come in this plot, Anna's return suggests that suckers might be getting near to getting their questions answered. What do you suppose Sidwell has to gain by holding Anna hostage? Partake your GH propositions in the commentary below. General Hospital spoilers point to Harrison Chase having to arrest Michael Corinthos and Jacinda Bracken when their conspiracy comes up. Fans have seen Chase and Michael getting wrangled up with each other, and we prognosticate that Chase may get the final word. For now, let's break down what could be going down in PC with these nascent males. Michael's downfall? Last week Willow Kane was fractured for lying after camera footage shows her driving in the vicinity of Drew Kane's house the night he was shot. When brazened, Willow formerly again switched up her to say, why yes she did drive past Drew's house, but of course she wasn't the shooter. Sure, January. Her counsel Alexis Davis was easily fumed, and indeed Willow has to know that her shady jest makes her look shamefaced, of commodity. Michael plays the long game during the week of December 15th to 19th. Michael is rolling in clover, but he's also a lying fabricator of the falsehoods. Is he about to be exposed? Michael drove by Drew's house that same night, but Jacinda is his deceitful justification. On top of that, Jacinda told Michael she was alone after they parted ways, therefore giving him an watertight justification. Still, Chase knows Jacinda was with Ezra Boyle. How will this rearmost development play out? Jacinda did not tell the truth. It could affect in Nina Reeves having Jack Brennan produce substantiation that Jacinda was with Ezra. Or, Michael could be seen on business cam footage since the Bobbies are now actually looking at substantiation after their fail with Willow. However, will they find footage of Michael in the area? Still the bones roll. General Hospital spoilers reveal that Operative Chase makes a double arrest on December 19th, if the PCPD gets busy. What are the chances he apprehends Michael and Jacinda for the false justification they gave the PCPD? We could be looking at these two facing charges for making false statements and inhibition of justice, and we'll keep you streamlined as the Comer coaster Jacinda and Michael are on goes around the bend.